Hey everyone, what's up? This is Zach and I am here with a list video for you guys. Now for this list, I'll be going over my top 5 grunge debut albums. Now grunge I do think is a good genre, and for the most part this was a pretty easy list for me to make. So let's just go ahead and start off with what I have at number 5, which is Ultra Mega OK by Soundgarden. This one definitely had to be number 5 for me. It's a good album, but I think Soundgarden has honestly done better than this. And of course, rest in peace to Chris Cornell, definitely a good singer, and I think he did a good job on this album. Again, Ultra Mega OK, it is a good album, but it's definitely not Soundgarden's best. I think that they would get better with the albums that would come after this, to be honest. And with that said, I don't think Soundgarden has ever really put out a bad album. But again, it's just not top tier Soundgarden, not like other albums like Bad Motorfinger and even Super Unknown, which is probably my favorite Soundgarden album, to be honest. But Ultra Mega OK, I do think is still good for what it is, but I think this album's biggest problem is it doesn't have as many memorable tracks, but I do think that Flower is one of the highlights on this album, so there's that. But again, good album, but just not one of the best albums from Soundgarden, I would say. So that's why it's coming in at number 5. It's got to be at the bottom of this top 5, because again, just compared to other Soundgarden records and even other grunge bands' debut albums, yeah, it has to be at number 5 in my top 5 when we're talking debut grunge albums. So next, at number 4, we've got Bush with 16 Stone. Now, is Bush really a grunge band? Well, I know that is up for debate, but according to Wikipedia, this album is at least a grunge album. And you can definitely hear the grunge when you listen to this album, and I know that there's even been some Nirvana comparisons with Bush, which I can definitely hear that for sure, especially their early material. And even though this album is only at number 4, I do think that this is Bush's best album. This album has some of their best songs on it, such as Everything Zen, which is probably one of my favorite Bush songs ever, to be honest. You also got Machine Head, Glycerine, and Little Things. Many great songs on this album that you cannot go wrong with. It's a great album. It's just a raw sounding album, and I think Gavin sounds good on this. So I do think that 16 Stone is Bush's best album. And if you're a fan of grunge music, you're not familiar with Bush or not familiar with this album, definitely give this album a listen. It must be listened to. So 16 Stone by Bush is coming in at number 4. So next, at number 3, we've got Alice in Chains with Facelift. Now, I know that this album may be number 1 for a lot of grunge fans, but for me, it's only at number 3. And I think the reason why I have this album at number 3 is because I think Alice in Chains has done better than this, to be honest. Like, I think if Dirt would have been their debut album, it would have been number 1 on this list, but because Facelift is Alice in Chains' debut album, it's gotta be number 3 in my top 5. But with that being said, I still think this album is great. It's still one of their best albums. It would probably be number 2 for me, with Dirt, of course, being at number 1. Now, if we're including EPs, this album would probably be number 3, because Jar of Flies, I think, is maybe number 2 for me. I don't know. That's tough, though. But if we're talking just the full-length studio albums, yeah, Facelift would be my second favorite Alice in Chains record. This is still a great album, though. It's definitely a classic and a very strong debut album. Bleed the Freak is probably one of my favorite Alice in Chains songs. You also have Sunshine, and you have Love, Hate, Love on here. I mean, this album just has so many classics, so many great songs that you cannot go wrong with. So I would also say that this is Alice in Chains at their most raw sound as well. So there's that. Great album for sure, but again, I do prefer Dirt over this album. And I know a lot of fans would as well, but still, Facelift, I think, is a very strong debut album, so that's what's coming in at number 3. So next, at number 2, we've got Nirvana with their album Bleach. Definitely a strong grunge debut, and this is probably Nirvana's heaviest album too. Now, is it my favorite Nirvana album? I'd really have to think about that. I mean, I know Nirvana doesn't have that many albums. They have, 3 albums plus a rarities cut album or whatever that is. So not that much material from Nirvana. And of course, rest in peace to Kurt Cobain. But this is a great album for sure. I really dig the riff work on this album. I especially like the main riff in Floyd the Barber. That's such a great song. And Blue is another highlight for me off this album too. So great album. Definitely a very strong Nirvana album, and it's a strong grunge debut album for sure. And again, would it be my favorite from the band? I don't know. It very well might be. I don't know. But I also really dig Nevermind too. So I don't know. Bleach, it's a great album though. Definitely a great debut album. Kurt sounds great on this album and everything, and so does the rest of the guys. It's just such a raw sounding album. It's definitely Nirvana at their most raw sound, I would say. So Bleach by Nirvana, great album. So that's what's coming in at number 2. So number 1, it's got to be Pearl Jam with 10. Definitely a very strong debut album. As I've said with the rest of the albums on this list, all these albums are very good debut albums, but 10 has to be number 1 because, I mean, when it comes to grunge debuts, I mean, does it really get any better than this? This is just such a great album that you cannot go wrong with. I think Eddie sounds good on this album, and it's a bit different compared to what they would do later, but I actually like the stuff that they've done after this as well, to be honest. But I think that this is really Pearl Jam at their best. I mean, it has some of their best songs as well, such as Even Flow. Definitely a great song you can't go wrong with. And even Oceans and Black. So many great songs on this album. Honestly, 10 and Versus, they're pretty close for me in terms of my favorite Pearl Jam album. But I'd probably have Versus as a close second favorite. And then 10 would be my favorite Pearl Jam album, most likely. So, but yeah, that's why this is at number 1, because when it comes to grunge debuts, I mean, this is very strong. It's a very strong debut album. 10 by Pearl Jam has to be number 1, but of course that could change at any time. I mean, I would say Bleach is probably a close second favorite grunge debut album for me. I mean, those two could go back and forth because I think they're both almost equally as strong. So when we're talking grunge debut albums, of course, but that is my list of my top 5 favorite grunge debut albums. Feel free to let me know what you think. What are your favorite debut albums from the grunge genre? And let me know what you thought of my choices. Do you like any of these bands? Do you like all of these bands? Feel free to let me know in the comments. So with that said, thank you for watching, take care, and have a good one.